So here's the deal with feet, okay? Feet, now we have the actual pressure pads, or that's probably not the right word to use, but what you use is the ground, okay? And the ground is used differently for everyone, okay? For good players, there's a lot of similarities, all right? So if we had a basic checkpoint of older time players, you'd see that they would actually get their shoulders under, all the weight would go back to their glute here, and it would go on the inside and it'd go back towards the heel. The more and more my shoulders go down, all that goes there. You'd see all the old timers go up on those toes. Now the only reason I'm doing this as an exaggeration here is I'm gonna show you, because back in the day, all of a sudden you'd see the outside weight go to the outside left 3 toes. That's why all these guys actually got that out there, is because they were already up on the toe and it was just natural, okay? And as they came down, they got down in this area, anywhere from here to here, they started pushing down on that left heel and clamping it. So did they have to think about left knee out, back to the left heel? They didn't think about any of that stuff. Like, once again, it was a natural reaction, okay? So what was the weight going? All of a sudden we had these experts that ruined us. Keep the feet flat, less moving parts. All of a sudden, the leg just went back into straight, or they just slammed their leg back in this position and it never got around first. Now the problem with that is you can't turn. No face control, no compression, on and on, okay? So here's what we're looking at. What I'd like to see you do is, as you do it, same as the old timers. It's still the weights on the inside. If you don't want to lift it off, you don't have. The weight's on the inside heel. And then as we start, it still goes to the outside left 3 toes, because that's going external. The pressure's still flat, solid. I'm in flexion, okay? I'm not going up to the toe, all right? I'm not Elvis, okay? I'm just flat. I'm going all the way around. And when I get in this position, I am firmly gonna go into that heel and slam this back after it's gone around. Okay, it's gonna go, this is gonna slam back. This whole side's gonna push off and go through. Now, does it have to push off? Does it have to push up? Depends on what flight you want. Once again, millions of matchups. You watching people go, why does Sergio stay in flexion? And why does Rory come up into extension? 2 different type of ball flights. Sergio's very low, Rory's very high. Now, it's also a matchup. Think about Sergio. As he shallows it out really hard, and he starts to go into extension, he's gonna be so dumped onto the plane, it's gonna be a joke, okay? So as he goes here, a good matchup is to stay in flexion, not coming up out of it and all the rest. You've got Rory, who's right pretty much on plane. He used to be dumped behind him, but he's pretty close to on plane now. And as he jumps up, he's doing it more to hit up on the ball. We know that he hits 4 to 6 degrees up on a driver and well less down, and that's awesome because he's under the plane, and when he hits up on it, it actually offsets each other, and that equals pretty close to dead path 0, okay? And then he gets his face matched up, he hits more up on it, less spin, optimizing all his numbers, which equals mad distance, mad speed, ball goes real far, okay? So in general, the feet are working around outside left 3 toes, slam to the left heel, and this one's really gonna not push off early, boom, flex, and roll to the toe, inside toe right here, boom. But if you watch it, I don't want it to go like this, like baseball. I don't want it to start doing this. Boom, boom. Okay, it's like a dance move. I'm a good dancer. Number one, when I get somebody in transition, why is transition so important? Transition's the setup to actually smash the ball. So historically, if you look at guys, there's not many players that are steep in transition. Probably only one, okay, Phil Mickelson, okay? Maybe Bubba, but Bubba is not that steep, okay? So in general, I would say more than anything, Phil Mickelson. So you could ask me, are people only shallowing it out and hitting draws? No, not at all. There's so many good players who've been very shallow here and then very rotated. Now, the reason for being shallow that's so important is the more steep you are, you have to do something to square that face up. You have to put an active force on the club in order to square it up, okay? When we get it here, there is a more rotational deal that you have to do, meaning you don't have to do anything with your hands to square the face up. So how do we get you shallow? I've got so many ways to manipulate it, and why do I manipulate it over doing natural, okay? So now that I'm here with you one-on-one, I can tell you exactly what I do with my good players, okay? Or players that don't want to manipulate it. When you looked at me, I'd go, okay, let's go a little vertical and a little shallow. I'd like that to be a reaction to what my body does, okay? I don't want you to force putting it in these positions because that never lasts. what I'd like you to understand is how I shallow the club is, one, in transition, I try and separate the left from the right and squat into the right. Now, as I do that, you're gonna notice this left hip is lower than the right. So when I say sit into the right, I'm flexing into it. I'm not going internal, I'm flexing. And the more and more I push away, not pull down or straighten down, the more that I push that way, or leave my hand there and don't push or don't pull down, I just leave it there, the more it's gonna shallow out naturally, okay? So what I mean by that is if you watch from this angle now and I go to the top and I'm over here or I'm over here, wherever I'm at, let's say I'm across the line and I separate the left from the right and I push right at your camera, boom, all of a sudden that did it all by itself, okay? That is a natural shallowing, okay? So why did so many older guys do it so well? A lot of them were actually, all their weight was over here and then they actually cleared the left and sat into the right and pushed away, boom. And that naturally happened. So they all look like they were over here and then they sat back in that. And so a lot of that just happened naturally. So we see everything as what someone did, not how it happened. We see it as, let's get it into those positions they were in. None of those guys tried to do that. They all did it, okay? Just, it was all a reaction. So when you look at Sam Snead, and he was over here, and then he sat and had some width, guess what? His hand path went, and the shaft went shallow, okay? Then he could just swing hard left and hit baby cutters or draw. He could hit anything he wanted, okay? So all I'm trying to tell you here is in order to shallow a club out, to get it in the slot, it's natural, okay? It means that you have to do a clearance from the left, a flex in the right, and keeping your width here. And no matter where you're at, that thing will shallow out. So come on over here, check this out. You're gonna see that my shaft is more vertical. I don't care if it's out ball line, inside ball line, but as you watch me sit into the right and push away from the left, you saw that shaft just shallow out. Now, here's what we're looking at. Left arm is more on target line. Shaft is parallel here to the original line, and the knees are back to address position, meaning, look at, you can watch here where my hips are. Boom, that's square, back to original. So if you start seeing any of this push off, you're gonna see a steep shaft. You start seeing any of this tilt, you're gonna see a steep shaft. So those are the guys that if I don't have time to, I say, hey, listen, let's get a little bit of that. But overall, do I want any of these manipulations? No. What I want is natural motion. The body pivot and the arm width is creating the shallow shaft, not you manipulating it, okay? That's the only way it's gonna last. And why I've done it the other way is this way to this way, is to actually get somebody there who I'm not seeing every day, okay? And that still works, because a lot of us did it. Hogan used to do this. You look at a lot of guys always talk about trying to do all this. Internal rotation with the left arm, external with the right, external rotation with the shoulder. Those are all the things that we can manufacture. And do they work? Yeah, but it's more of a timing oriented deal. If you're actually using your body correctly, it just shifts on plane all by itself, all right? Good luck. Okay, so here's the deal. I don't even know where this is aiming, but let's say it's aiming at that orange flag or the 75 here. And let's get you directly in line with this, because these guys got to know how to video when they're videoing. So most players, when they're videoing, here's my feet line. That's where your camera line should be in, okay? So it should be right in line with here. And it should be about belt buckle high, okay? So when you're looking at your plane and you're way over here, and the camera's back there and you guys send me videos, I can't even see what you guys are doing, okay? We're gonna take it, we're gonna try and get parallel. Should you be parallel? Depends on the club, okay? If you got a wedge, you wanna be more left to offset angle of attack. You wanna be a little more right if you're hitting up on a ball. So let's just stock it out, okay? We're gonna say, people ask me about shallowing. Boom, this parallel, boom, boom, and that is right on this whole line. This is called baseline or target line. And the shaft, for a lot of players, believe it should still be on it or parallel when they get up to the top. Now, here's a question I get asked. Why do you get your guys going more vertical here, inside ball line, and then out this line, okay? If you look at baseball players, they're here, boom, as they transfer, that thing shifts all by itself. So I've always looked at the Europeans, and for years and years, they've always been better ball strikers than I've ever noticed anybody else. I might be wrong about that, but I've always noticed that I like their motion better. It looked more athletic. It looked very vertical, as they made a shift in their body, what happened was the thing shot out by itself. They were not going from what we call internal rotation of the shoulder to external by thought. It was naturally happening. So if you took a ball and you put me up here and I shifted, naturally that thing's gonna move into position. So when people ask me, hey, why does Johnny put this basket on here? At this position, I have to start it from here, up here, and then he goes from real vertical to over there, is because that's a natural motion for him, okay? He's not trying to go here to here. It's happening. Now, how's this happening? As I go to the top and I start to go really far forward, you'll see that I lose my width here, okay? You watch the best shallowers, and they're not going linear, okay? They're more sitting into this right and clearing the left as they're pushing away with the right. That is actually putting actual natural external rotation here. I don't have to do this. Now, why do I tell everybody else on videos that I've done before to go like this? Because it's a lot better than I'm going like this, okay? So I get them to exaggerate a position, and then when they start sending me videos, then I can actually get them to sequence it correctly, okay? So any motion's better than no motion, okay? So any kind of fix is better than no fix. So I've always been a guy who said exaggerate, and then actually things will get there a lot faster. That's the way it should work. But the real motion, when I got a player here home with me, I don't get him going boom, boom, okay? What I'm trying to get him to do is get him on ball line or a little bit inside ball line with the butt. And if I did, as they're using their pivot correctly, the left side clears, the right side goes into flexion, and this thing's going back over there at the target. That thing just naturally went external. This arm went internal. So you can see this is a forearm rotation, internal. The shoulder went all the way in. That's fully internal because of my shoulders rotated internally, okay? So I'm not just going with my wrist. You could. I've always been taught, hey, listen, get flexion, go this way, forearm roll, get up to the top, do all this. You can do all this stuff. There's nothing wrong with it, but a natural motion. And the reason all these old guys back in the day shallowed out is because they'd almost get a lot of their body going this way, and then they'd sit back down into the right. So it looked more like, if you look at the King, okay? You look at Arnold Palmer, and you look at him, you'll see that he actually looks like his left side's going down. And it looks almost like this, okay? And then you'll watch this whole knee go all the way external, and this right knee will go into flexion. Okay, you see that? And he's fully cleared out, okay? So everybody does it differently, but the main thing to get you shallow without doing any kind of external, internal is really from this position, whether you're over here or over here, is going into flexion. Big word for just flexing your knee or extending your knee. You go into flexion and you clear with a little width. It's at 90, it stays at 90, you're gonna be fine. If it goes 90 and you start pushing, it gets narrow, you're gonna be like that, okay? So then all of a sudden you're gonna have to feel like this. But the real root of the problem is your pivot's moving this way, or you're dropping that shoulder, this is getting narrow. So even if you put a floaty on your arm, it's still not gonna work, okay? Get your pivot right. Let the left hip go lower than the right. But when I say sit into the right, watch where people get misunderstood. Sit into the right. Look at my left side, that's higher, okay? So I should probably do a little visual for you so you guys can learn how to really shallow this club out, okay? Here we go. If I went here, I went to the top. Some players believe it should be higher here. Some believe it's lower. So if you're shallow, I've seen both. So why are people lying? There's more powerful, okay? And there's less powerful, that's for sure, okay? But if we're talking about shallowing it out, there's not one way to shallow it out, okay? If you look to the top, on some of the old greats, they'd go this way, they'd sit, and boom, right there. Now, where's that left hip? It's still lower than the right. So when I said sit into flexion, where's the left hip? It's still lower, okay? Now, if you watch like a normal player, nowadays, if they do it right, you'll see them sit in the right, and the left will go boom. So I sat in the right as this cleared. And you'll watch as I do that with my right arm only. Boom, where's my right arm? It went external all by itself. I can feel this doing this, but there's none of this that I'm trying to do. As soon as I have any width at all, or maintain my width, if you look at Sergio, Sergio's arm goes from 90 or 100 to about 110, 120, okay? Meaning it's straightening out 10 to 20 degrees from its top position to here. Now everybody would go, no it doesn't. Why? Because all you see is this, okay? And this is also an illusion, okay? That it's back here or it's more cocked. Because if I cock it 90 and I lay that thing back, where's that look? It looks like there's way more lag, okay? And then I bring it back up. Same amount of wrist cock, but there's an illusion there. So you're looking at the wrong thing. I'm looking at the whip. That's why I'm shallowing it with good body rotation. So you go to the top, sit to the right, clear the left, boom, it's in that position. And if I straighten it out even more as I do that, watch this. I didn't turn my arm more, I straightened it more and did my same body pivot. Now let me do that again and move forward. Didn't straighten out as much. And I know I manipulated that a little bit, but I'm showing you that if I push here without the right body motion, this thing's not gonna have any force on my shoulder to externally rotate. But if I sit and I turn, and when I sit and turn, I didn't sit and turn like this, okay? My left hip's still lower than my right down to here, and now it's about level here. This right knee's at 12 o'clock to 11:30, not in like you guys, okay? It's in this position as this left hip's clear, and then I can clear it through, okay? So there's a lot to my pivot. That's why I make money, okay? Because it's very, very confusing, okay? There's a lot of positions to it, but it's max power with no stall, which equals lots of wins, okay? All right, good luck. So set up and face your shadow. Good. Now, your head is on center, okay? Now, let's go over and put this one on your left hip. And let's put this one on your right hip, okay? So now, we have some kind of checkpoint. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to go to the top. There's no, your head's on center. Start again. Don't move your feet. Right there. You're perfect right there, okay? You see how we have one on your hip here and one here? I want you to go to the top. Now look at how much space you've created. Don't create that much space. So again, right there. Now look at your head. Let's keep your head on center. Good, let's do it again. So what has to happen is you have to feel like you're a little bit more this way. You feel that right there? And let's let that left knee go in. So I don't mind you creating space here, but I want you to have a checkpoint. Now, you're changing your head again, or the earth is moving around the sun right now, which I doubt it is that fast. Be pretty awesome. Look at how much you're moving forward again. Do it again. There you go. That's better. That's your. Now look at your head. Now watch me do it. Okay, so watch my head here. So my head would be right about here. Now watch this. See where that's at? See, mine's creating a ball here. My head's on center. Yours was creating like a beach ball here. You got that? So we're going to go here, and then we're going to sit within these, okay? Really, it'll look like this, okay? But when I rehearse it, I get my center of mass backwards, okay? And my pressure is going to feel 50-50, okay? So I'm exaggerating the opposite. So now this is nowhere near it, so I'll move them for you. Cool. Okay. Good. Now go to the top. Good. That's better. Okay, now sit into it. Where's your head? I want your head on center. There you go. Perfect. Now see, that's where I want you. You can rehearse that over and over, but keep your hips within these barriers. Do you get how to do this? Last one. I'm going to gain a lot of speed on you. To the top. Sit and clear. There you go. So when I say sit and clear, watch your left hip. So coming over the face so you can, I'll visually show him what I want. Tristan, stop hitting, douche. Okay, so there we go. As we go to the top, watch this. I'm right here now. Watch when I sit. Ready? I sit into the right and clear the left. What happened? Where's my belt? Is it level, or is this right one when I sat like this? No, exactly. So it's still there. And if I went internal with my rotation, my whole body's dropped. You understand what I'm doing? So I want you to understand how that works. So you look at a lot of the older guys, they used to go over here, and then they'd sit back into a center position. But that left hip was still here. And then we started getting guys way over here, and we started trying to get back to center, and what happened? Left hip's here, the weight's really here, okay? So we still want the weight 50-50 to like 60-40 in the left in transition, okay? But we're not moving linear, because now we know what? That we're losing speed, okay? We're losing ground pressure, okay? So, does that make sense what I want? Yeah. Okay, let's do it. I don't want to get you this far under, but I'm gonna exaggerate you so far under the plane. I'm gonna get you 10 to 15 degrees to the right. So I stuck a stick right here, like this, and I said, okay, let's get you in this position, and let's get you in this position, and I'm gonna actually put you on a tee, but right now we don't need to put a tee, but I put him on a tee, and I said, hey, let's get you, because he was such a slicer. This is how he was coming in before. Boom, right across the ball. So I said, all right, I'm gonna teach you something that everybody would actually throw up on, okay? I said, we're gonna get you, because all you know how to do is come across the ball. I'm gonna get you to go change your swing plane so extreme and out. And he's all, do you want me to take it on plane first? I said, no. Let's just get you here to here. And what do you think his first ball did? It came right out at Gabe in 3D over there, exactly. So it came over there, so I said, listen, we're gonna do something that everybody's gonna cringe at. I'm gonna get you to flip your hands here and swing over to the right, and boom, all of a sudden, he swung right and the ball actually turned left, and he's all, whoa, that's a trip. Okay, and he goes, well, do you want me to start flipping? And I said, no, let's get your swing direction out here with the flip, and then let's just add rotation, and all of a sudden that flip will be gone, okay? And then we can throw in a stick here, and as you're going in and out, and as you're turning now, that will have a very, very passive face throughout. But if I started him with the passive face and getting him in this direction and said, okay, let's swing it out, he's never learned to supinate. Every ball would be over there. So he's got to learn this action first, and then as we turn, that just turns into a flexion and keeping him on plane. But that's the way I exaggerate. I exaggerate like crazy. All right, guys, here's another drill I use actually to get your club to shallow out a little bit, okay? I was just messing around like I usually do. The whole key to being a teacher is being creative, okay? You can't just do the same thing, say the same thing to everybody, because it doesn't equate to the same thing for every player, okay? So when a guy doesn't shallow it out, I do weird stuff, okay? I can go external, okay? I can go adduction, I can go extension of the right wrist, width, forearm rotation, and all of a sudden I've got them Scoobied up, okay? I got what? Forearm rotation to the left, I got internal of the shoulder, I've got flexion to close the face, I got all kinds of weird stuff, okay? The point is if you're using the legs right, it'll happen, but for some of you who slide and still are like pulling the hands down, I use some weird stuff, okay? So here we go to the top, we set up against a bush here, okay? And normally you would be up here and you'd be like, and you'd hit that bush, okay? But right now, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get up here and I'm gonna say, okay, I gotta stay level to the bush. Okay, that's how we wanna do it. Most of you guys are gonna go, not what I want, okay? You're not coming up into extension. You're not coming into a huge right bend. You're not sliding your legs, okay, to a side bend, okay? What we're doing is we're going up here, we're staying in all of our angles. Okay, we're right here, and then we're gonna actually be like a baseball player, okay? We're gonna rotate through it. That'll help you really get a feel. Let me see what that looks like. Come on over the mirror. Make sure I'm showing you guys the right thing. So you go up to the top, you're about parallel here, and then you're coming in level like a baseball player. That'd be a really good drill for you guys to get super, super shallow if you want to, okay? Not everybody needs to be shallow, but it's a key move in great players, okay, guys? Good luck. Undai. All right, so I get asked questions, do you shallow it out with, forearms? Are you doing it with your body? If you're steep, you're steep. And what you need to do is learn to get it under. And a lot of times people are steep because of axis tilt. A lot of times they don't turn their shoulders back and they open quick. There's just so many different reasons people are steep. But no matter what the reason is, we would love to exaggerate getting this club from under this red thing, which I'd put it out. And if you did a perfect backswing parallel to ball line here, it would barely touch here, okay? So we're gonna try and exaggerate it a little bit more. Now, a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. A lot of my players hate this, but I don't care if they hate it, okay? What I don't even care, I even got people slamming this and breaking it all over. So you could put something a little softer, like one of the water noodle things. It's up to you. So what I'd like to see is from here, this is called 4 o'clock. This is 12, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3, and this is 4. Now, are we really coming in from 4? Well, when most players are coming, they feel like it, and as they turn, they're really at 3. But right now, we're gonna exaggerate being at 4 to 8, okay? This being 9 over here. So how I would start this drill is I'd start from pre here to pre here to here. So you just do, you start it here, 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 and you do some little half shots like that. Now that thing's drawing a lot, okay? Because I'm way dumped under. Now let me do one full now. And is this scary? Yeah, it is for most players because they can't take it dead outside. So what you want to do is feel like you're here to here, get a little feel first, then take one to the top and start to draw it from the inside, okay? That'd be the best way to do it, okay? Simple drill. All right, so people say, what kind of drills can you use to get your left leg to work correctly, okay? What I like to do is I like to put my hand on the inside of my thigh here, make sure this left knee goes. I see some people when I say get the left knee out, they're already starting it out here. But I always let them know, I say, listen, try and jump without actually bending your knees. It's impossible. You have to load and unload, okay? So any athletic motion we're doing, we want to actually get it to load in and then load out. So we're not just keeping it out because it's out and now we're here, okay? So let's do this. We're gonna load into a straight line. Is that perfect? No, there's no perfect. Could be in here, wherever, but I just don't want it out here because I want you to get a full turn here. Boom, boom. Now the first move we're gonna take is the inside quad and get it fully externally rotated. See that right there? So you just do a lot of these. I'm friends with Alex and Danielle King, and Lydia Coe is good friends with them, and all she does in their kitchen is just goes boom, boom, okay? And I thought that was interesting because that's what I've always done, and I've never seen anybody else do it. So she's pretty good. So you go to the top, you get this thing to go around as this goes into flexion all the way around. Once that kneecap is at 3 o'clock, straighten it out. Boom. Simple as that. That's a great drill for actually getting that thing to go external. All right, Johnny, take one to the top. Now, what I like a lot of players to do is start with their legs moving around first. Now, what that does is get their hand path way out here, okay? Now, while they're doing it, it doesn't have to shallow. If they just turn it here, they're gonna come over the top. So what I'm trying to get them to do is understand how to get this as they're rotating, to rotate down this way. Now, people go, oh, well, I'm gonna get 2 under. No, keep turning. You'll get parallel to your feet line here. So the key is not to push the hand path over here, that's death. I go up to the top and start to open, boom. See, he does that very, very good. He's probably one of the best I've ever seen. So go ahead and demonstrate for us, Johnny. Up the top and then open up. Very good, okay. Now do it one more time. Now go to the top, but don't get too vertical here. Get more on plane. Okay, so a lot of players will just stay on plane and then come back down on plane. That would be easier for most. The reason that Johnny and I is for a feel like to get more vertical and then shallow, because it feels better, more swing speed for sure, and it actually helps you not overdraw the ball, in our opinion, okay? A lot of people would disagree, but just watch us hit it. All right, so I get asked a lot on dumping the club under the plane, okay? So most of my players try and keep it on top of this plane. Now, you can dump it under the plane, but you have to match the face up with it, okay? Meaning, if I am way under the plane, my face has to be at a certain degree to match up for a bigger draw. Now that becomes a timing-oriented move. So what I'd suggest, unless you're super good changing the face around, I'd rather see your swing direction get a little bit more on top. So what I do is I put a stick out here, and if I did it in the grass so you could see, this is how I do it, okay? What I'll do is I'll take this over at the right angle, right about here, and I'll set up so I'm comfortable, and then I'll move over here, okay? And so what I'll do is I'll go, now I'm about a good position, okay? Now, what determines me getting it over? This is an easy drill just for like normal players that they say, okay, let's stay on top of this and turn through it. Now, what's really happening is usually people are dumped under the plane for a reason. Either they're tilting their axis here, they're humping it under, they're straightening their arms down without any body rotation. So if you're doing that, the main key you want to feel is leave your arms up here, no pull down, and start to turn, okay? As soon as you do this, you're dumped under. As soon as you do this, you're dumped under. So leave your arms up here and start to open up the body. That doesn't mean you have to be young and fast either. Just slow the arms down and turn and turn and turn, okay? And so what you do, if I did a demonstration here, you could see that my shaft will stay right on top of this. As I go up to here, you could do it any way you want, but just keep it on top. And that's pretty sure. It's pretty good, much as good as it gets. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys, so we're going to talk about internal and external of the shoulders, the forearms, all the angles of the wrist, and the downswing, okay? So, is it all done with the legs? Is it all done with the arms? We're going to find out how to get that club to shallow out in the downswing and what's really causing it, okay? So, I'm going to give you a cool little deal here. If my arm's internal, my arm's external, my forearms are actually, that's supination, but we're going to call that external, internal, humerus, external, internal, okay? This is cool too if you watch the forearms internal, okay? But then you watch the shoulder is what got that thing turned all the way around. That's shoulder rotation, okay? So we have a lot of different real intricate moves that go on in the downswing, and some of them are a cause and effect, and some are manufactured, okay? And most people are manufacturing everything, so it becomes hard to repeat under the gun, okay? So here's what I want to let you know. If I went to the top of the swing and my arm was very, very internal, meaning this way, that doesn't mean the club has to be across the line, just so you know, okay? And I've done lots of things. I could forearm rotate here, and this could be internal with the shoulder, forearm, and the left hand can make it go out there. It could also be internal here, but I have this stay internal, and my forearm still rotate, and it looks laid off, okay, with an arm that people would say was gross, okay? So here's the deal. From wherever your position is at top, okay, the more and more we get it this way, it's going to stretch back this way. The more we get it here, it's going to actually turn back this way, okay? So remember that. It's a game of opposites, all right? So when I'm looking at this, what creates the downswing as we go up here with the right arm? As I start down, most players are getting taught external rotation of the shoulder, okay? So that's external rotation of the shoulder. So you go up to the top, and you can see that this is almost the same angle as my spine. I'm going to turn this elbow under my hand, and my hand's going to go back to my elbow. That would be very, very external, okay? That's one way to shallow the club out. Now, I could come over here with my left arm, be in the same place, and get the shoulder to go internal, okay? With some forearm rotation, okay? So as I go up to the top and I add both of those, boom, I'm really, really shallow, okay? Now, do I do that? I've done it. I used to do it, but I don't do it because it's too hard under the gun for me personally to do that, okay? So we're just talking shoulders. Now, there's so many ways to shallow the club out. I could sit here for hours and hours, okay? We've got other ways to shallow. We could go up here, and we're only talking about rotation or the downswing. Anytime you watch your wrist, they usually work in threes. You bow it down, and you release it, what happens? The forearm rotates, okay? So flexion, right here, and releasing, which is ulnar deviation, does what to the right wrist? Watch this, flexion, and that did what to my right wrist? Flexion and ulnar deviation added forearm rotation, and that's how a lot of other people will shallow the club out too. They'll go into flexion, and boom, they'll go that way. That's another way to do it, okay? Do I use that? For some of my players, I'll use it once in a while, but not really. okay? Does that mean it's wrong? No, there's nothing wrong with any of these. So what I'd like to have you do is understanding that this and this, or adding them all together. Let's add them all together, and we could get a lot of cool stuff. So some of my goes will go external here, internal in the shoulder, and then add forearm rotation. So they'll go up here, they'll go, but then they're doing them all, and they're like, whoa, I'm super shallow. So I would like to see you shallow it without doing any of that, okay? I'd like to see if you went up to the top of your swing and knew that as we sat and turned, the hand path moves more out. The more I rotate out, it goes there. The more and more I straighten this arm, my hand path goes down. Anytime that I don't rotate, my hand path goes down, okay? So what I want you to do is understand that now that we know that this right arm goes this way, watch what happens if I just rotate. Hand path goes out. Let's say I drew a circle around my hands and said, leave it in this circle. And I turn. But don't let it go this way and don't let it go this way. Ready? What happened to my arm? It went external all by itself, which is super cool to me, which works really well, okay? So how do I do that? I can go anywhere. I could start over here in a conventional, leave it in the circle, and it does it. I could be over here, leave it in the circle, don't let it go this way, don't let it go this way, but turn and leave it there, boom. It will do that all by itself. My forearms will rotate by themselves. My shoulders will internally and externally rotate correctly all by themselves. Now, what do the legs do? As they drop and they turn the way I like, what happens is ground pressure comes into effect. Also, it allows the club to drop a little bit better, and it also promotes rotation, which gets hand path going this way. But if you resist that this way without this way, boom, and you leave it in the circle, thing just drops, and it's a golden move right there, okay? So if you can do that and understand that I used to actually, what we'll do is I'll show you a cool thing that I used to do. We'll just say right here, I used to go up against the wall. Okay, let's imagine there's a wall behind me, and I'd go all the way to the top. Let me give myself room. And I get my elbow on it, and I'd go, okay, if I actually switched these and got my elbow, took out in the hand, and went like that, look at that. That's on the wall. I'm changing direction. So I go up to here, and I start down, boom, I shallowed it. So what am I doing? I'm trying to get my hands there and my elbow in front. So I'm really just going into external rotation. But it was a cool drill. I'd go up here and put my elbow on the wall, get my butt up against the elbow on the wall, and then go, boom, and hit it with the back of my knuckles. Cool, okay? But now, if I get up here and I leave my hand in the same direction, it does it all by itself, okay? And is it really doing it by itself? Well, if I leave my hands in that position, I'm actually doing something, but it's a lot easier than actually doing something with an action. I'm just actually leaving them in a place, which means now I feel like I'm turning and turning, and that's the goal of the golf swing, is to feel like you're just pivoting and pivoting rather than doing stuff with your arms, okay? So I think that that's pretty much the most important thing to understand with the arms and the shoulders. Yeah, there's a lot of detail to it that you can mess up, but if you're with me, you're not gonna get messed up doing those things, okay? Peace. Okay guys, here's the deal. We're gonna talk about the lead knee in the downswing. And we look at why I do the lead knee the way I do. I like the left leg to go down and around, externally rotate. I like the midsection to turn to. It's not just this without the midsection turning, okay? So the deal is we know that the motion goes from ground up, and the more and more we understand about biomechanics, we understand that it's not necessarily firing from the ground up. A lot of it's firing together. So is it from the toe to the knee to the hip, the kinematic sequence that we all learned, the kinetic chain? No, it's not as much as we thought, okay? What you need to understand is why do I like this left leg to go the direction it does rather than this, is because once you understand that ground pressure has a lot of different ways you could define it, probably the most simple, it wouldn't be in the dictionary of ground pressure, but I'm going to explain it probably the most simple way that I could without getting too crazy, okay? if you push down and you create 100 pounds here, you're gonna get 100 pounds back, okay? Just keep it that simple, okay? You're gonna get equal force back from the ground. But I'm gonna do it as far as golf swing. So if someone said, hey, you get max ground pressure for putting the most pressure forward without going linear, meaning this way. So I put a lot of pressure forward, but I went linear. So max pressure forward without going linear would mean what? Okay, I didn't go linear, but I got pressure forward. That would be the max ground pressure. And now what happened to my leg? It went this way. Now, could I get max pressure and go this way? Yes. Now, why would I not want to do this compared to this? Okay, so as I get this max pressure, now I'm down here, I'm not turning out of the way, so I have to stand up, release my angles, unless I have a lot of front bend, and I'm still not turning, which is not giving me a stable face or a passive face, and it's also changing my swing direction more out to the right, unless I have some weird bends that is possible too, okay? So we're gonna keep this really, really simple. Now that we understand that, this is why I like the left leg to work the way it does, okay? So I'm gonna take a stick out here and go left leg. You go up to the top. Some players are here, all over the place, but we're gonna keep it pretty level pelvis, okay? The first move down is I'd like to see the left side of the pelvis go a little lower, which is gonna bring my spine forward, unless I have right lateral bend, which I've showed a lot of people. Don't get that right knee going internal yet, all the way around to here. So the pressure, if I went up on the toe, would go outside left 3 toes, all the way around, okay? And then it's gonna, once it's gone external all the way around, now it's gonna fire back the other direction, and the pressure is gonna go to the left heel, okay? So I go up to the top, here, pelvis is level, left knee is pointing at the target. Let's watch that from here. Whoop, it's right there. Now it's fired all the way around in one direction. Now it's gonna fire the other direction as the pressure goes to the left heel. Okay, now, left side's got around, right side's waiting to fire. Right side fires, left goes back the other way, okay? So what that's gonna do is get all the way around. Don't just get around to here without turning. Don't just go, and then now you're gonna jump. You're never gonna get around. You gotta get around first, then you jump. Now, people go, okay, so now that you've got all the way around, how do you get your pressure off? Well, now I'm gonna push, but I'm also gonna get this to go back. Now I got my divot to move forward. I didn't just sit here and get the left around without moving anywhere and chunk back here or hold my angle. Now, once I've got it around, now I can push the pressure forward and turn through. So left knee down and around, left hip is level to around, then it straightens out. Now, does it have to straighten out? Last thing I'm gonna say here. If you look at like Sergio, his left knee stays really, really bent, really into flexion. He's a low ball hitter. You look at a Rory, and Rory would be more around to here and then very up, okay? Very extended up on the leg, which means as he extends up, the only way he's gonna get to the ball is by releasing the handle, but he's not technically doing it or manipulating it. His body does it after he's what? He's gone more down. Now what's he doing? He's going up, so he still has a D-loft, but if he stayed level and then went up, he'd have to add his loft. So he's going down a little more, so as he goes up, he still has a D-loft, but now he's getting the ball more launch. He's not hitting his down on it with his angle of attack either. So left knee out and around. Now you know why I do it and why you should do it, okay? Because once you start getting this left leg to move internal, it wants to go up before it goes around. And if you start to slide that too much, it's only gonna turn about here before it goes up and then around and the ball's gone, and that means your pass out to the right. You're gonna add loft. Every time that you can't get around with this left leg, you go up, you're gonna add loft unless you have a lot of front bend, and then you really can't turn anyway. So keep it simple. It's not simple, but it's golf. But the leg is very, very important, and there's a reason, and that's why I gave you the reason, okay? Good luck. Peace. All right, so I've been asked a lot about the thumb drill, which I just did it because I think it's kind of funny. But like I said before, this is internal, this is external of the shoulder, okay? We have forearm rotation, which could get it even more behind. So we go here, and then we add more forearm rotation and some extension in the wrist, which a lot of people call that dorsiflexion still, which is not. Dorsey is the foot, okay? So as we go over here and we go there, that's getting you pointed at a wall behind me. I don't have a wall behind me, unfortunately. So as I come in here and I take it to the top and I said, okay, let's go external, that's pointing at the wall. So everybody goes, hey, do you really want to be pointed at the wall? No, but if I got into my front bend, it's going to actually be in a position where all the greatest players of all time have been besides Phil Mickelson, okay? So you look at most players and they're getting into this external position. So if I went to the top, and whether I went here, here, wherever I'm at, as I start down, a lot of players try and go external to the right and internal of the left with the shoulder or the forearms, and that gets that thing to drop behind. Now, what's the cool thing about that is now all you have to do is just rotate through the shot, and you won't react to the steep shaft at all. You'll keep it on, and then you can just turn through it. Now, would I say this is the only way to shallow it? I just did a whole thing on shallowing. So if we go external here, if I actually left my hand from not going this way or down, but I left them up in the circle, I draw a circle, it's really gonna move out of the circle, but I feel like it's there. What happened to that? It did it all by itself. So am I really trying to do this? Well, you can if you're beginning and you're trying to really exaggerate it, but besides that, no, you don't need to do that or have to do it. But if you're someone who swings it like this, I would suggest it's a good start, okay? You can feel like you're exaggerating a little bit, and I think you'll be in a better direction than you would otherwise, okay? All right, guys, hopefully that explains everything. All right, guys, when people misunderstand the pivot to rotation, to me, pivot is basically you're rotating around a center, okay, or stable axis, okay? So the difference is in golf, that'd be perfect if I was a machine, okay? But we always have a mixture of pressure being put forward and rotation. So if I just rotated, pressure is going to tend, depending on what my knees are doing, is going to tend to move back, okay? So if I kept my knees here and I started to turn, pressure is going to be more centered. It also depends on where my head's moving. If my head, I have no right lateral bend here, pressure is going to end up more here if I just turned and let my front bend stay intact, okay? If I had right lateral bend with front bend and I went here, my pressure would be more centered. So you've got all these tilts of your pelvis, your spine, your side bend, your flexion, your knee extension. You have all these different things that are causing your pivot to change. So to explain it, when I was a kid, it was always, hey, pivot around your right leg, move into this wall and pivot on that. Okay, that was cool theoretically, and it works, and it always will work, but is it optimal to hit the ball as hard as you can, as straight as you can, have the best compression? To me, I say no, okay? But that doesn't mean I'm right about that either, because I could swing over here and I could swing over here, I could swing this way, and I can still hit it solid no matter where you put me. But I know for a fact I'll hit it harder, further, more consistent one way than another, okay? So as we go to the top, okay, people have different pivots with their upper body, different clubs. But if I sat in external rotation and I rotated around and I had a right lateral bend, I would say I'm pivoting with pressure forward. I'm rotating and I have pressure right in the center, okay? Now, a lot of players when I grew up were 70-30, 80-20, 90-10. That was my direction that I had to go on. Now we're finding out that as we start down, a lot of players are more 50-50 here. And if you actually let the right knee came in and you didn't go linear, where's your pressure? Like 90-10 back here, okay? So if you're doing it, you want to stay more external but centered to centered, and then now I want to push my divot forward as I turn, not just push without any turn. So to answer your question, what am I pivoting around? I'm pretty centered here. I'm pivoting into a center pressure, and then I'm pushing my pressure forward after I've turned around, okay? But am I moving backwards or am I moving forward? Can I? Yes. I just told you what I would do. I go here, and then I move forward. Now, we'll talk about all the bends. Stay in a front bend, and I go external, and I don't have any right lateral bend, and this left side of the pelvis is lower. I'm gonna have a lot of pressure forward. If I have my right lateral bend here, I'm 50-50. So all these extra little bends and tilts are going to create pressure at different parts of the feet, and your pivot's changing at all times. So I'll get into super detail with that, and then you won't ever be confused again. All right? Peace. Is that good? All right, guys. All right, guys, we're going to talk about trail knee in the downswing, okay? So if I took this, or we could even call it trail leg, okay? So what does the leg do? It goes into flexion. For a lot of players, when I grew up, it'd move internal right away. So this is internal, external, flexion, extension. Just to remind you, that right knee used to go in right away, which tilted my spine, which left my swing direction out to the right, and my body not able to turn, which equaled a lot of hooks. So I tried to manufacture not hooking with my hands. Okay, so what is the right leg doing in the backswing or the downswing? We can look at it from all different directions, okay? So we're gonna look at it from this position. It's over the balls of my feet. If I'm taller, it'll probably be bent a little more to get to the ball. But for me, if it's over the balls of my feet at address, as I went back, it almost moves for me to the middle of my foot, okay? There's no perfect way. I could get it even more straight, okay, and I could still play good golf from there. I would say a good direction to be from here, and then as I start down, it's gonna flex back for me to my toe line, okay? And then it's actually gonna move a little bit more out here. Now you're gonna see some space between my legs, okay? Now, from here, as I push off, I'm gonna try and feel like my knee goes behind that one. Boom, okay, and that's the way it's gonna look. So I'll show you again. So as I go to the top, that's the way it's gonna look, okay? Now, I could do this, all kinds of stuff. So the trail leg, its job is to go into flexion and external rotation in transition, all the way down to my shafts here, pelvis level. Then I want it to go internal. Now I could just have it go internal and have all my pressure back here, or I could get it to go all the way around to here. Then I can push off it. I don't want to push at start, okay? I don't want to go up here and push, because then that puts my pelvis at a lean. Now, if I actually got my upper body to go forward with that, it didn't lean. Now my pressure's forward, but now I didn't turn, which means now I'm gonna stand up and add loft, then I'm gonna turn late, and my path's gonna go too far out to the right, because angle of attack, swing direction with no rotation equals right. Face close equals hook, okay? So we're equaling a lot of weird stuff there, okay? So what do I want your leg to do? I want you to feel like there's more downward vertical force rather than horizontal, okay? So we're going more down with external rotation to here with the level pelvis, and you'll see that my hips are open about here, okay? You'll see my pelvis, I'm still in my front bend, and by doing that, that's bringing my pelvis left side lower, spine's forward, right lateral bend here. We'll talk about that, but we're only talking about trail leg right now. So we're gonna go around external to here. Now I'm gonna have both legs move in, but then I'm gonna push off this right side. So now why do I do that? Because if I sat here and just went external, I'd hit the ball fat for most players. I turned, but that's as far as I went, okay? So if I went in here and did the same exact thing and went around, and then I pushed my divot forward, that was pretty solid, okay? So that's the way I push my divot forward. Now, do I have to actually extend up with my knees or push off? No. I could go around to here the same way, and I could push but not extend up. I could just push, and what happens? I push my divot forward, I'm still in flexion, my handle's further forward because I didn't extend up and release. Now I'm just hitting a lower ball. So we've got all these weird things. That's also gonna bring, the more I stay in flexion of front bend and flexion of the knees, my swing direction is going to go more left, but it's also going to make me hit more down on the ball and get my D-loft or my dynamic loft down, which means because of dynamic loft being down because of here, it's going to push my path more right, but my rotation and me staying in front bend and flexion are also going to bring my swing direction more left. So they'll offset each other to get a low, nice, cool ball, okay? So let's finish this up with the right rear leg. So now that you know that I like it not to push off, I like it to go around external before it pushes off or stays in flexion for a lower ball, then that's where I like that right leg to stay. Now, before I finish this off, I want you to understand something about the right leg. We have all these bends. We have a right lateral bend. We have a side bend, and by the way, some people call this front bend or flexion and extension. They all call it different things. So we're gonna just call it whatever we want, okay? Right lateral bend would be proper here. Side bend, okay? A push off or a right knee going internal, okay? If I get right knee going internal and right lateral bend, I'm really gonna tilt my pelvis. That's a bad way to do it. If I get right knee in, the only way I can save that from tilting my spine is having my upper body move forward, okay? And now I'm not tilted, but now I better kick back late. That's another matchup. That's a good wedge matchup, okay? So understand that all these internal push-off, all these things are causing a lot of troubles in this right leg. So be aware that that's why I don't want any push-off or knee in, because then you're stuck here. All the pressure's here. So a lot of people are going, okay, George likes flexion and not move pressure forward, but the knee moves in. Where's all my pressure? It's all back here. I can't get off it. So keep it external and level. That'll move your head forward. Keep it here. Now you're centered all the way down to here with your pressure. Now let's push off and turn, and I think that you'll be fine. So knowing that, I do a lot of drills like this. Last thing here. I do a lot of weird ones where you see me go, and it looks stupid. And then after they've done that a few times, they'll hit it chunky. Now they go, okay, George, I've got it. I'm up here. I've gone around to here. I'm good. Now I can actually start pushing my divot forward and turning, and I'm styling, okay? So take it into two-piece. We'll talk about drills and stuff later, but that's the trail leg, what it does. A lot of ways to use it, okay? All right, peace. Guys, I'm on my knees for you, all right? So listen, here's the deal. There's the target. Okay, that's our final destination. That's where we're trying to go, okay? So our intentions are good to start it on the, or to get the ball to end up there. Now, if this is a straight line here at that target, most players believe that their face has to be dead at that target, okay? If you're trying to hit it dead straight, does it have to be there to dress? I could have it closed, get it back there, that'd be timing. But in general, what I'm trying to do here is if that's the target and I want to hit a draw, I'd want the ball to start wherever I want, unless I want to start it here, here, or here. Let's just say today I'm going to warm up and there's a 175 out there right of that orange flag. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line in line with it the best I can. It's probably not a very good line, but I could make it good. I could go over here and do this into a right line of this and go, okay, I'm going to try and draw this right on this line. So I'll have a lot of my juniors come over here and go, okay, that's where you want that line to go. Let's get it at a right angle here. They come behind and see if it's good. Well, I'm going to come behind and see if it's good. Okay, it's a little more right than I wanted, but you'll get the point. And so what I do with my players is say, let's work on start line. They go, well, where do I want my feet? Okay, feet are a good guideline to show your swing direction, okay? So if my feet are over here, my intentions are to swing them on them. If they're over here, they're gonna go this way. But I could also be over here in my swing direction going out there, okay? So just because your feet are parallel does not mean your swing direction is gonna go the same place, okay? Or parallel to it, okay? So it's good actual guidelines though for now, okay? Unless we're hitting wedges and we have a lot of angle of attack or we're hitting up on it, we're gonna aim more right, more left on the wedges, okay? So here's the deal. So I'm gonna hit a draw now that starts out to the right, and that's where I want the ball to start because the ball starts more on the face than it does on the path. Every club has a little different in where it starts, whether the driver is more towards the face. It used to be more because that's what we were taught. So with wedges, it's going to start like 50-60% more on the face than the path, where longer iron is going to be more on the face than it would be the path, okay, meaning it's starting. So knowing that, let's just say it starts 100% on the face, okay? So our intentions right now are to work on start line. Let's get the face here. Let's get our feet close to parallel, because I'm going to have some angle of attack down, but most people would try and aim a little right of that. Let's just go parallel, and let's work on impact. Now, my impact, my arms bent, my knees are still in flexion, my shoulders are open about 30 degrees, hips are 45 degrees, okay? So from this position, I'd be moving into here, okay? There's my impact, left hand on the shoe, right arm still bent. This trail leg is pretty straight up and down, not knee way in front. pressure's about 90%. So that's just some good kind of checkpoints. So I get in here and I go like this, and I go, okay, let's see. I'm going to stay in this position, take it back to here, and really work on some impact. Ready? Boom. So that started right on that where I wanted to. Now this is a 6-iron. I wouldn't start with a 6-iron because we're already trying to get this thing down. So I'm going to do a 9-iron just for a second. I could do a 6-iron, but when we're doing chips, we want to see a little height, okay? So, because my dynamic loft is so low, boom. Then I go in here, boom. And now, see, I started that right at the 225. That was absolutely exactly what I was trying to do, okay? Now, I come over here, and now that I've trained that, I come into here in this preset. Now my face is right at the target. Go back to address, go back and get a feel for what that feels like to get back to that rotation. And I hit a little chip, boom. Started right on the 225, turned back to the orange. 2 perfect shots. Honest to God, they're perfect, okay? So that's the reason I use chalk. I use chalk for start line. That doesn't mean now if I want to hit a cut, I'll move it where my start line's at over on the left of it and go, okay, my target's the orange. Now I'm going to move my face over here a little bit more. And now I'm going to start hitting a cut or a straight ball, wherever it's at. Now, let's say I don't want to hit a draw or cut. I want to hit straight. I'd get it on a right angle to the orange line for my face angle. But I'm going to start it left now. So now I get my feet more left than that, and I show impact. And now I come in and I start working that, and I go, okay, that started on line, okay? I think that actually started a little left of my line, so I go, why did it start that way? So I could go over here and go, okay, why is it starting? Did I come over the top? Did I have left lateral bend? Did I actually come too much rotation with that left lateral bend? Was my right arm too bent? There's so many ways that I could diagnose what really happened there, but you're not with me, so you're gonna have to figure some of this stuff out on your own, okay? But the fact is you'll figure that the first thing that I do is I come in and I make sure my impact is right here where I want it to be, open, come back to address, hit some cuts. Now, that ball actually started right in my start line for the cut, and I know exactly, I could feel it right away. I slid, that dropped my shaft under and my face out to the right. So I go, okay, I got to replicate that same feel for the cut, which means it's not this way. It's going to be more this way, and I'd actually hit some low chip cuts until I get that thing going. That wasn't good either. It's also a 9-iron, so it's very hard on chip cuts. But that's the way I would work my cuts at first, as I'd start getting this into this position and coming back here and just doing chip cuts until I could get a feel for what's happening there, okay? And I think you'll be just fine, but start with chalk first and really get the start line right. Also, I'll do one more thing for you guys. Usually I have 3 sticks, so I'm gonna give you the last thing here. Someone just stole my stick, so I wouldn't sell you guys short. But let's say this is where I want to start the ball. Okay, and this is the target, the orange flag. So I do this with a lot of my players. I say, okay, we got to start it right here, and we're going to draw it. But we know, now that you drew a line here with chalk up this shaft line, we know that this is in line with this, so the ball is going to start up here and turn this way. Means my path has to be here, but my swing direction, we'll get into that later. But we're going to keep this simple for start line. There's my face. There's impact. So I work on boom right here. Now, if it hits that stick, what's that mean? That means I slowed my body down and the face closed up, okay? Or I came over the top too much because I had too much left lateral bend, or my right arm's too short. There's a million reasons. And if this thing doesn't start out there, and it starts in out or too far to the right, most likely I'm starting to tilt my spine and my arm's getting dropped under and face is getting to the right. But just start out simple, do a lot of chips and get the start line right, and then go, okay, now that I see it, I know how I want to look, I want to get into here. Then you start hitting some like half shots, and you start it right there, and you hit little chip half shots, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I can hit a draw now, or I can hit a cutter, but my ball's starting on line, and that's the cool part, okay guys? All right, that's about it with the start line. All right, guys, here's the deal. a lot of players tend to move up on their toes, okay? Now, this isn't the correct fix. This is for my juniors that I try and make things happen really, really fast, is they get a good feel for, okay, they're going like this. They don't know why they're doing it, but they're always, okay. Usually, it's because they're off with their setup. They're too far out on their toes and they're holding balance by getting their pelvis under them to hold their balance up, okay? Or they're too far back and they move forward and then they do this. Or they're just trying to get into out, okay? They're just doing a lot of weird things. So as soon as I can make them understand that the pressure goes more in step of the left toe, we won't talk about the right side right now, goes right heel, depending on your incline of your shoulders, outside left 3 toes of the left foot, then it smashes onto the left heel. So I say, hey, listen guys, we're going immediately for you guys, because you don't have a problem going to the outside left 3 toes. We're gonna put this chalk here and we're gonna have you hit some half shots, okay? We're gonna have you hit a little half shot where the pressure moves immediately to the left heel. So let's start out with a little half shot. Boom, and it went right to the heel. I didn't even put any pressure on there, and that was perfect, okay? So let's do that one more time. And we are gonna go into this one again. One more little halfer. So you got a good feel. You'll see that my foot's off the ground, and that was another perfect shot, okay? And all that pressure's back on that left heel. So a lot of players say, hey, dude, I feel like I'm gonna break my ankle. Well, if you start with your foot square and you threw a ball, would you get your foot here? No, it'd be over here, okay? So start your foot ducked out. That'll make you go more to the instep and then back to the heel, and that's more athletic, okay? But when you do get your toe line open because you want, don't move your toe line up, because now you're really aimed right. Check your heel line, duck it out, it'll look left to your eyes, but that is exactly how you're gonna get that pressure on the left heel. But you gotta get that left toe open a little bit. Is there a perfect degree? Well, if you get it out here, you're not gonna be able to turn back and you will come in steep. So you gotta get this thing out wherever you'd be throwing right about here. About 20, 30 degrees is a good guideline. There's no perfect. Just get a feel for whatever you can get your shoulders all the way back 90 or more. And then as you come through, that your leg can get around this way before it straightens. Okay, guys? And that's a good little drill to start you out if you're moving into the toes. All right, peace. Guys, so we're talking about footwork, but we're going to talk about the lead foot right now. As we go back, a lot of players keep it flat. A lot of players who don't have flexibility move it up. If I had a choice between the two, when I tell somebody to move up, a lot of them move too far down into the ball, their front bend, and they start moving to their toes. And then what do they do after that? Suck their butt under them, okay? So when you listen to this, make sure you go through all my stuff so you don't do or break into bad habits and say, George told me that I need this left knee to go in, okay? So the deal is what I want you to do is understand that this left toe goes up right here. You feel this? It goes up to the toe before it goes around, okay? So I want you to go to the top, left toe, outside left 3 toes. So let's go there. That's why we're thongs or flip-flops. So it goes around, it grips the outside of the left toe, outside 3, and then it's gonna clamp to the heel. Now, you'll watch a lot of my players roll their ankle, and a lot of my juniors like, ooh, that's gonna kill my ankle. So I just buckle them over, and people go, is that gonna hurt my knee? Yes, it's gonna hurt your knee if your foot is square. So you gotta get this foot out a little bit so you can turn and get that to go to the left heel. All my players are here. I'll even get a guy like my dad who's 70, 72, shooting his age, going like this, and it doesn't hurt them all, okay? So if you've had surgery on your knee, you shouldn't be playing golf and curling your foot or anything. I would say if you had knee surgery, I would be swinging it more like this, okay? And being more flat-footed. But if you don't and you have some mobility and you're not gonna break your kneecap, this is what you wanna do. Boom, right there. You wanna get a little bit of that. Now, seems extreme, but start with something right here and go, okay, George wants me to just, let's get a feel for around with the knee, all the way around till the kneecap gets close to the target, straighten it out, let the left heel go here, get some balance here first, put a chair here, whatever you want to do, and get some feel for that, and make sure that you're turning and getting this right side to move in here. So you'd be like, ooh, that feels so weird at first. And then after you've done it, you're a mirror now. I'm looking in the mirror. Take it all the way back, swing right into you, boom, and go, okay, and you're gonna be like, oh, all over the place. Get a good balance first, you're stumbling. Learn to get this through the eyeballs, okay, this shaft, okay, and get it at a right angle to your spine and just hold this position for a while, okay? Now, I don't do that because my balance is funny. I go, whoop, but then I drop it right back in front. But where's my pressure? Still right there on that heel, okay? So the finish, the ball's good, the ball's done. So if you watch, here's the finish. It goes, that was my best ball I hit today, okay? But my pressure was still here and I look like Arnold Palmer, okay? My pressure didn't go to the toe when I went into Arnold Palmer. The pressure and the feet are still the same. Everybody's finish is different. Wherever you want to be real pretty or real all over the place, doesn't matter to me. What matters is the pressure on the feet is working in the right direction. Okay, guys?